Good evening. Welcome to the June 24th, 2024 West Clermont School Board meeting. Mr. Romano, will you take roll?
Mr. Patton.
Here.
Mr. Rudy.
Present.
Ms. Sanborn.
Here.
Mrs. Spencer.
Here.
And Mr. Chumley let us know that he would be absent tonight.
At this point, for the purpose of appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against an employee, official, licensee, or student, matters required to be kept confidential by federal or state law, rules, or regulations, and to detail relative to the security arrangements and the emergency response protocol for the Board of Education. At this point, we do have a reason to go into executive session. I make a motion that we go into executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Patton.
Yes.
Mr. Rudy.
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn.
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer.
Yes.
4 yes.
are back from executive session. Mr. Romano, will you take roll, please?
Well, Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy,
Present.
Ms. Sanborn,
Present.
Mrs. Spencer.
Here.
All present.
Next up is the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Next up is the motion to adopt the agenda. Put that on the floor in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Is there any discussion? Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Rudy,
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn.
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer.
Yes.
4 yes.
Next up is the Auditor State Award.
All right. Good evening. I'm here to, we're celebrating two different groups today. The first group I want to celebrate is the Treasurer's Office. So the Treasurer's Office consists, of course, Mr. Romano, Terry Johnson, Kayla McAtee, Michelle Cortez, Paula Wolf, Tiffany Swoa, Amy Limbacher, Daniel Shue, and Leslie Combs. And I'd like the ones who are here to come up and stand next to me. We are celebrating them today because they have received the Auditor of State Award with distinction. So let me talk about how hard that is to get. Eligible entities that receive the award meet the following criteria of a clean audit report. The entity must file financial reports with the Auditor of State Office by the statutory due date, without extension, via the Hinkle system, on the generally accepted accounting principles, accounting basis, and prepare an annual comprehensive financial report. The audit report does not contain any errors for any findings for recovery, material citations, material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, uniform guidance, findings, or questions costs, with the opinion dated within the 6 months of the entity's year's end. The entity's management letter contains no comments related to ethics referrals, question costs less than the threshold per uniform guidance, lack of timely annual financial report submissions, bank reconciliation issues, failure to obtain a timely single audit in accordance with the uniform guidance, findings for recovery less than $500, and public meetings or public record issues. The entity has no other financial or other concerns. So we are proud to recognize the West Clermont Treasurer's Team for a clean audit report and earning the Auditor of State Award with distinction.
All right, picture time. My teenage daughter said vertical picture is better. Horizontal.
Thank you, Treasurer's Team. Next, we're going to celebrate another team that has been very near and dear and helpful in the West Clermont community. This evening, we're going to celebrate Mike Combs and his Mercy Healthplex team. So today, Mike Combs has with him his lovely wife, of course, Terry Pierce and Aaron Whitehead. So if you guys want to come on up. Thank you. All right, in 2014, Mike, along with the Midtown Health and Mercy Health, started working with the West Clermont School District to discuss the ideas of attaching a healthplex to the West Clermont High School that was being designed and built at that time. The vision was to have a state-of-the-art health, wellness, and fitness center to serve the West Clermont School District students, teachers, and staff, along with the entire Union Township and the West Clermont community. On September of 2017, this vision became a reality as the beautiful West Clermont High School opened with the attached West Clermont Healthplex. Today, the West Clermont Healthplex has 2,439 community members, 130 student members, and provides a wellness program for over 173 staff members. The Healthplex also provides swim lessons, summer camps, self-defense classes, and other programs and events that improve the safety and quality of life for our community. On any given day, one can walk through the Healthplex and see seniors enjoying water fitness class in the warm water pool, which I like as well. The high school swim team practicing in the competition lap pool, students having a blast in the HealthPlex game room, teachers enjoying a yoga class or a mind-body studio in the mind-body studio, and young and middle-aged professionals working out in the fitness center. The West Clermont HealthPlex has currently become a gym that is serving not only our school system students, teachers, and staff, but the entire West Clermont and Union Township communities. So thank you, Mike and team, for helping make this a reality for the West Clermont community.
Mike is retiring, so we are here to also celebrate his retirement. Yes. We wish you the best in your next venture in life. We do plan to keep him around here. He's a member of the West Clermont Education Foundation and has played a critical role in events like the Fun Run and helping give innovative grants to the teachers. And so we are very happy and thankful for your support and partnership.
Looking forward to that.
Yes, great.
Thank you.
Okay.
While they're taking that picture, I'd be remiss if I had to make a comment. Myself, Mr. Lafada, and COO Randy Gephardt get to meet with Mike and his team once a month. And the nice thing for me with meeting with that team is this. They go over the financials, they go over what has happened the last month, and then the next 15 minutes of that half-hour meeting is really focused on how can they make things better. And there hasn't been a meeting where they don't come up with something, or we collectively come up with something to make things better, whether it's for the students, for the staff, or the whole community. And I know Mike's instilled that into Aaron and Terry, because when we meet with them separately, they do the same thing. And it's continually on how to make it better. So I very much appreciate it, very much know that, at least for me, and I know for the whole district, but in the last 4 years, which was, kind of towards the end or in middle of COVID, things are entirely different. You recouped, because that was a big downturn, in membership and everything. We're back to where we were before and even better. And so I much appreciate all the work that you've done and the team has done. Thank you.
And there's a lot of connection between the Treasures team and the HealthPlex team as they champion the wellness program. And so Paula specifically has worked countless hours
With Aaron,
in
yeah.
coordinating and connecting with Aaron to make the program really strong. So we are thankful for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You want to say something, Mike? I feel like you want to say something.
No.
Okay, all right. Just making
Thank
sure.
you for the
Okay.
opportunity. It's really been a joy. We live in the school district, so it's, just what you guys are doing is just fantastic in the community, your teachers and your staff. And just to be a part of that has been a real blessing for me, and to work with Natasha and Dan and their teams have been great. So really appreciate the opportunity, and we're looking forward to great things continuing at the HealthPlex and then working with the Educational Foundation too. So
All right.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. I did not see,
I don't think there's any.
can you see
public-
if there's any cards outside?
Okay,
No,
thank
nothing,
you.
all right.
Okay, so nothing public speaking. Looks like we're moving next to the consent agenda. We'll start with personnel agenda.
In front of you is the personnel agenda for June 24th, 2024. On the agenda today, we have the retirement of Kathy Coleman is once again on it. We had her back in January, but she changed the retirement date, so we had to bring her back to update that. We also see the resignations of Kayla McAtee, our payroll director, 16 teachers, 1 campus coordinator, 1 custodian, 1 school nurse, 1 health clinic assistant, 1 paraprofessional aide, and 1 office assistant. On this agenda, you'll see the proposed hiring for Natalie Edwards to replace Cheryl Lowe as the next assistant principal in Somerset Elementary, and Natalie is here. So we're hoping that we can introduce you all to her officially at the end. This also includes extending 5 extended days for the transition this summer. We are proposed hiring for 21 new teachers, 7 paraprofessional aides, 1 school nurse, 1 second shift custodian, and extending the contract of the executive assistant to the superintendent to include the 24-25 school year. On the agenda today, we have the transfer and reassignment of Thayla Conradi from a part-time pair at Merwin to a full-time pair at Summerside. On this agenda, we have the proposed approval of supplemental contracts. We still have a couple to finish and wrap up from 23-24 and to start for 24-25. So 5 for 23-24 wrap-up. 5 extracurricular club advisors, 8 home tutors, and 1 athletic contest worker. And then starting for the 24-25 school year, we have multiple home tutors and multiple coaches. Included in this agenda is the proposed approval for the summer employment of 6 student workers, multiple unpaid leaves of absences to wrap up the school year, multiple substitutes and school volunteers and student teachers to begin the 24-25 school year. We added on this agenda the request to change the approved FTEs by adding 1 full-time paraprofessional aide to the middle school. And finally, in the work beyond the contract section are the proposed approval for payments for the middle school ELA curriculum development, cooperating teachers, summer school work, new teacher academy participants, ETR meetings, and building leadership team training. This concludes the review of the personnel agenda submission for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening. For your consideration this evening, we have submitted West Clermont's 24-25 Student and Parent Handbook. The revisions made to the handbook annually include updates to school policy, administrative guidelines, as well as annual notices that we provide to parents. Additionally, updates are made to things along the lines of our school lunch program and qualifying for free and reduced lunch, as well as clarification regarding any areas of need needing adjustment. Significant changes this year include updates to our student code of conduct to make it more transparent and easier to understand and follow, as well as some updates to our attendance. Any questions?
I do have a little question. I know Mr. DeWine, our Governor DeWine, put a bill in to less use of the cell phone during school time.
Yes.
I'm not sure, has that passed into a bill?
It has,
into law?
and the requirements, I believe, are for the
25,
25-26 school year.
Yeah, they are. That's
but-
what it was proposed to us. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So we have not yet done that, but that will be on our agenda in the coming
It's
months.
coming this summer, but our practice already does that. And so we were one of the first school districts to change. And so it's just formalizing it, and we'll be doing that with you this summer.
I was just wondering if we could move it up a little bit further into the workbook because it's in page 102, which is the book is the last page. And for high schoolers, it should be page 1.
Oh, it is
But-
at the high school, don't you worry, it is, it's a huge focus.
But I know, I appreciate that it does take a lot of time and energy to do all that, but I appreciate it, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
I'm-
a priority.
One of the things
of-
that I think I've been most impressed with is that when you make a change like this, it's one thing for the governor to make a policy change or for us to have a policy change, but it's another thing for it to play out. And it's required a lot of consistency with the staff, and they've done an excellent job. And, you know, we can always improve, that's just how it is, but if it weren't for their consistency and the kids buying into, the kids actually have said thank you. Because I just think they need this break.
Absolutely.
And so, we will continue to refine and get better with this, but we're glad it's a statewide movement.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And hopefully they'll get more sleep too.
Yes.
That'd be nice.
Thank you.
Dream.
Thank you. Next up is the overnight field trip.
Good evening. This evening, for your approval, we're requesting permission for the high school cheerleading group to participate in what's called the UCA Cheer Camp at Miami University. They've attended this camp for several years in a row now. They get an opportunity to practice fundamentals as well as to compete against other squads. Parents will be driving their students to and from camp at Miami, and all meals, et cetera, will be included. Students will be staying on Miami's campus. Item 6.04, did you have any questions about the field trip first? Okay, item 6.04, this is our yearly request to approve school fees for the 24-25 school year. You'll note, if reviewing those fees, that we have not requested an increase to any school fees. In fact, we are requesting a decrease in certain fees. The only time that you would see a new fee is if there is a new course that has been added. We have a really robust process for reviewing these each year. where our director of secondary teaching and learning works with our associate principal, the high school principal, and department chairs to really understand and to go over with a fine-tooth comb the things that we're purchasing, to streamline purchases when possible, and to really ensure that we're spending those funds within the fiscal year that the fees are received. Any questions about school fees? Okay, great. Last one for me this evening, now I'll be back up here in a few minutes, is item 6.05. It's, we are requesting continued participation with, continued membership with OHSAA, the Ohio High School Athletic Association. This is our standard yearly request to continue to participate in all of what that provides our students in grades 7 through 12. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Item 7.06 is the Memorandum of Understanding for Union Township for the School Resource Officers Program. The recommendation is to approve the Memorandum of Understanding with Union Township for the SROs. The superintendent and I had a meeting and a discussion with the township administrator about a month and a half ago regarding the contract and regarding the cost of the program to the school district. We were getting a very good benefit in the past, and with this MOU, we're looking at reimbursing fully for the cost of those resource officers to the district, so that is a change. We do understand the need for that. It is also pretty much in line with what we get with the other entity for the school resource officers that we have. So it is recommended that we approve that memorandum of understanding for those services with that. Item 7.07 is request for approval of the minutes, and that is for the minutes of the May 20th, 2024 regular business meeting. Request approval of those. Item 7.08. Did you want to do that? We told you she'd be back.
Good evening again. So item 6.08 is requesting your approval to authorize the Director of Technology, Larry Priest, the authority to execute student data privacy agreements. We already gather student data privacy agreements from vendors that we work with. And right now, our process, to be honest, is a bit laborious, and sometimes it takes more time than what we'd like for that to be. And so this allows us to kind of streamline that process and to ensure that we have in place student data privacy agreements with all of the academic partners that we work with. So really, this is not a change in practice. We already are working to collect these. It's really about streamlining and helping us to really ensure that we have these in place for everyone that we're partnering with. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I can add one comment to that section. This is really a matter of efficiency and effectiveness. Typically, when I get the agreements, I have to go to the go-to person, which is Larry. And we're pretty fortunate in the district to have someone, these are not 2 or 3 page agreements. These are quite lengthy agreements with a lot of different sections in them. And it takes someone who really knows what those terms mean and what those procedures are to approve those. So it's more of a way of expediting what we do instead of shuffling paper back and forth with that. So just to add to that. Item 7.09 is request for approval of donations. And I'm just going to kind of summarize it with that on the first one. There's a list of contributors that made donations to Withamsville Tabasco Elementary for the 5th grade end-of-year picnic. And as you know, it takes a lot of items to make sure that that's a great day for the kids. Amelia Pizza Hut donated 50 large pizzas to West Clermont Middle School for the re-registration incentive. Ann Von Mull donated a silver trumpet, 2 mouthpieces, and cleaning supplies to West Clermont Middle School Band Program. Megan Patterson, Rachel Ribby, and Mary Wright donated 21 large pizzas to Withamsville Tabasco Elementary for the 4th grade state test goal. David and Debbie Ryle donated ice cream sundae supplies and Katie Spade purse, and a Katie Spade purse to Williamsville Tabasco for staff recognition. Mio's Pizza of Anderson donated 5 mammoth pizzas to Withamsville Tabasco Elementary 2nd grade, 4 large pizzas to the office, and 4 large pizzas for kindergarten last day of school celebration. Beachmont Roll Arena donated skating passes to Merwin Elementary for students, and they also donated a pizza party for Mrs. Everett's 3rd grade class at Merwin Elementary. So his request for those donations be accepted. Item 7.10 is request for approval of contracts. Most of these contracts are for the 24-25 year beginning July 1st. You'll note that there's a couple of them there I just want to identify. One is the request for approval of the contract for our liability, property and casualty insurance. One of the comments I think I made to the board earlier, or in the update over the weekend, it is a hard market in insurance. The rates reflect that. So they are up, more than I wouldn't say more than expected, more than usual. But that is pretty much driven by the market for us. Not as much, they do look at our claims, but the major driver of that increase is the marketplace to do that. You'll also see that the other contracts there really are for the year beginning July 1st, 24 through June 30th of 25. So just as a means of authorization and a means of transparency, we put those in front of the board. I don't know if there's questions on any of the other contracts that are there, but there'll be more to come as we go through the year. Item 7.11 is request for approval of the financial statements, the bills paid, and a list of investments. That is for the period ending May 31st, 2024. And so we're requesting items 7.01 through 7.11 for the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. You have heard the recommendation. Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Sanborn. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
4 yes. Thank you. Okay. English arts.
Yeah, Mrs. Preston is back.
Hello again. I apologize. I was reading the numbers prior to executive session being added, and I was like, why am I saying a different number
Yeah.
than what is listed? So my apologies for the total confusion. So, so last month, we presented to you a draft of our English Language Arts course of study. We're coming back a month later, seeking approval of this. Included in our course of study is also our request for the adoption of our core instructional materials for grades K-5, 6 through 8, and then also grades 9 through 12. Those are listed in our course of study as well. We are so excited for what our continued investment, your continued investment in providing high-quality instructional materials for our staff and students. We are so excited for that opportunity that it's going to bring to continue to be a district on the rise who's really investing in teaching and learning supports for our students. So we're super excited to have that opportunity, and our teachers are eager to get their hands on materials and to begin to use them. Mrs. Spencer also had the opportunity to review some of our materials, so I don't know if she has anything she'd like to add.
No, I enjoyed reading it. It's been a while since I've looked at 3rd grade reading material. But my granddaughter's going into the 3rd grade. So I was kind of practicing a little bit of the things, reading some of the reading prompts to her. And she was right on target. And I thought, well, that's good. I don't want it to be too hard or too
Yeah.
but I thought it was really good. I enjoyed looking at it, and I appreciate, just a little light reading over the weekend.
Right. Yeah, I know. It'll keep you busy for sure.
Right, and there was, I think I only took 2 books or something.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it, and I appreciate you doing all the work that it took to really agree and to move forward on that.
Thank you.
English.
I'll just highlight a few pieces about it. One of the things that our elementary teachers were really excited with their material is that it's very interdisciplinary in nature, which, as we talk a little bit about our strategic plan later on today, that's really one of we want students to have an opportunity to transfer their learning beyond just kind of learning skills in isolation, and so it's very integrated. They're learning, they're developing their literacy skills through the context of science or social studies, which really supports the opportunity for our students to experience like deep learning.
Something else someone said too, as I was looking at it, every unit had fiction and nonfiction together in it. So it wasn't just one whole unit of fiction and then one whole unit of nonfiction. By the time you get back to fiction, they're not sure what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think the teachers did a great job picking up.
Yeah, we're really, we're very proud of the work that they've done. And it really does help students to build knowledge, which, is really important. Kids can learn how to read and write, but if they really don't have a deep understanding of things to read and write about, it becomes really challenging. And so the opportunity to really strengthen and build their knowledge from preschool through 12th grade is one that we're really excited about. So I know our teachers are chomping at the bit to get the materials in their hand, and so this evening we're recommending, the superintendent is recommending that you adopt our ELA course of study as presented.
Thank you. As I've heard the recommendation, would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rudy.
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer.
Yes.
Mr. Patton.
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn.
Yes.
4 yes.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda is the 2030 strategic plan. We did bring this to you last month, so we're not going to go into great detail tonight, but just wanted to remind you of, you can go ahead and go to the next one. The theme of this is blazing new trails, and the whole idea behind this metaphor of trails versus a roadway is that a roadway is more rigid. It has kind of a fixed and predetermined path. And all the things we've been talking about with Portrait of a Graduate is about voice and choice for students, more flexibility. And so that's why we are metaphorically going off the road onto pathways. Another thing to think about with pathways is a lot of times there's degree of difficulties, pathways that are, easy to navigate, more simple. Then there's pathways that are more difficult. And as you get stronger competencies and skills and abilities, you can level up and go to the next level. And so that's what we're really looking to do for our students, is to continue to set a high bar for them, support them, so that they can have a more personalized education and be on a pathway that really is suited to their interests, their skills, their needs. So we're keeping students at the center in this new plan. We want to create this sense of belonging so that all students know that they are wolves and they're part of something really special here in our school district and in our community. That we are building hope for the future so that we can take these 5 challenges that we identified as a school system, take the vision that the board has set for us, address the purpose and design issues that we have of maybe not fully being as student-centered in our learning and teaching as we want to be, by not fully having a modern educator workforce that's equipped for all the challenges that we face today, not having the necessary modern learning environments that are required to provide the environments that we're looking for to foster this kind of learning, and maybe not quite having all the partnerships and family and community connections that we hope for. So our goal is to take these 5 challenges that we've been wrestling with for the last couple of years, make changes to how the design of school is done, because we know that our purpose is to be future ready. And so ultimately, by listening to the challenges, addressing them, by changing the design, we will reach the future graduate outcomes for our students and make sure that they have a competitive advantage when they cross over that threshold and go into their career, or into military, or into post-secondary education. So for tonight, we did change a couple pieces of wording as you go along. All I want to do, Dan, is just go down to the,
Here you go.
okay, I'll just flip.
Should be able
Where
to
am I
do it.
going to point? Every time I touch this, something doesn't go right.
Touch this and see what does it.
Okay, you go, you keep
Go.
going, keep going. And there, stop, go back. So this is the overarching goal of the plan, is that we want every student to graduate with meaningful employment or higher education opportunities. So more than walking across the stage with a diploma, but having real experiences that prepare them to make the choices that they need for post-secondary education, that they're truly ready for, and not just kind of like, you know, out into the world without all the skills and mindsets that they need. We have 3 themes and goals that are associated then with carrying out the Porch of a Graduate goal. Pathways and performance, which is every student has access to a rigorous curriculum and support system to develop strong foundational knowledge and skills that transfer. So this isn't about throwing the baby out with the bath. This is about strong, rigorous academics supported with the Porch of a Graduate skills, and making sure that students can't just use it in science class or just use it on a Tuesday, but they can apply it to different classes, to different parts of their life, and create new things based on it. People. Every student has access to a high-quality team of educators, family, and community partners. We're in a people business. All the work we do is about people, and our job really is to develop the best leaders we can, the best teachers we can, the best educators, support staff, and our students. And we know we'll only get better by working together. And then finally, place. Every student has necessary resources and access to a safe, welcoming, modern learning environment. We believe strongly that your home address should not dictate the kind of educational learning environment that you are able to attend to in West Clermont. So we have a vision to kind of address that at all levels. So this plan breaks it down. We'll just look at one slide. Sorry, just go to the next one. One example. So every goal is listed at the top in the theme area. Then there's like a keyword. So this one happens to be modernized curriculum. That's what Mrs. Preston was talking about today. We just finished modernizing English language arts, so we'll be implementing it next year. And next school year, we'll move into creation mode. We're going to be creating curriculum for PK-12 innovation programming. So that's getting into the realm of STEAM and STEM and preparing students for jobs that do not exist. And you'll see a tagline in there that's really important for us. We want to prepare students for anything, not just something, regardless of their background. So we want to expose them to a lot of things that they might not even know are possible out there. So each goal is set up, broken down into the themes. Then there's a 3-year objective, a strategy, and then what we plan to accomplish in year 1. And so that's how this whole presentation is set up. So I won't go through the details. We tweaked a few words from last meeting based on the feedback we had heard from the board, as well as our district leadership team that had a time early June to dig into it and to make sure that it was clear as possible, because we know that a plan on a page or a plan in a folder or on a website doesn't mean anything if it's not executed by the people who are most important and to the work, which are the staff and the students and families. So we cleared up some things, but it didn't really change in substance. So it is our goal to get this approved from you guys tonight and set in motion all the key performance indicators that we'll be measuring and all the objectives and key results that we'll be measuring, so that we can, along the way, let you know how we're doing. Red, yellow, green, are we on target, are we off target? How well are things going? So that it's not just a hope and a prayer, but a specific plan with evidence along the way to show you our progress. So with that, are there any other slides that you want me to call up and talk about, or anything specific you want to see before we ask for you to adopt the 2030 strategic plan?
The portrait of a practice of a lesson design.
Yes.
So that goal, you have a 3-year objective, a strategy, and then a year goal. Is that are you on target to meet these goals?
Well, we're just starting. So the groundwork has been laid, so the foundation is set. So we're poised and ready to kind of take it to the next level. So I feel that everything we have in there as a year one goal is something that we're ready for. And some people might be a little ahead of others, but our goal by the end of the year is to get kind of everybody up to a more common place. So I feel like the principals are equipped to lead this work. We have some teacher leaders who are already more fully into the work, and then now it's just about spreading and scaling and slowly but surely ensuring by 3 years from now, 100% of our people are all on, all on board working toward these goals.
Okay, thank you.
So it just won't be a flip of a switch.
Right, that's what I was
It'll take some
thinking.
work, but I would say everything that's written as a year one goal, we're ready for.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So you've heard the recommendation. I will put that on in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Is there any further discussion? Okay, thank you. Mr. Romano?
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
4 yes.
Thank you. We are very excited about being able to move forward with this plan, communicate it to our families and our staff members. And again, this will not be, we'll turn from one school district to another overnight, but our team really believes, like, if we can get a plan on paper and we can start working it, we can make it happen. So we're very excited about that.
Okay. Number 2.
And that's it for my comments today. I think we'll move right to the treasure business.
Item 9.01 is the request for authorization for a faithful performance of duty policy in insurance policy in lieu of bond for district treasurer and other bonded officers. This connects back to the, one of the contracts that we requested for approval, which was the liability, property and casualty. Embedded in that liability policy is a component for the faithful performance insurance to do that. This resolution needs to be adopted. We believe it may have been adopted in the past. We know that it is in our policy. We know that it is in individuals' contracts that we have. But as we did a little research on approving the insurance policies, I did not immediately find this resolution. So talked with the attorney, and just to make sure that our bases are all covered, it's requested that we have this resolution approved to provide authorization to do that. Okay, it's no change in practice of what we've been doing. We've always been doing this since 2019, and it's just to make sure that everything is in order with it. Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Romano.
so that's requested.
You have heard the recommendation. Would someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion, we approve this.
Thank you, Ms. Sanborn. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mrs. Spencer. Is there any discussion? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
4 yes. Thank you. Item 9.02 is request for advances and transfers for this current year, fiscal year '24. So at the end of the year, a couple situations arise. One, request for a transfer. Transfer is when the general fund is really providing a subsidy to other funds. Historically, the district has had subsidies to the food service fund and to the athletic funds. As with last year, this year we do not have to subsidize the food service fund. There is a positive balance. A lot of that balance was created over the COVID years when we had, all children eat under under the free lunch program. That did help our balances. So again, we did not have to transfer or subsidize the food service program. Similar to in past years, there is a need, and it is acknowledged and has been the case where we need to subsidize the athletic program. One notation is districts do this differently. Some districts have the supplementals for coaches, and that automatically charged to the general fund. In this school district, those costs are really applied to the administratively managed fund, so those are in there, which is the primary driver for that. So, and so those are the transfers. Advances are with most of the state and federal programs. unlike years ago where they gave you the money up front. There was a change a couple decades ago where they require the local school district to spend their money first and then seek a cash request or get reimbursement for it. So as we come down to the end of the year, there's naturally going to be a deficit in some of those funds. And so the list of advances that we are requesting is kind of like the worst-case scenario. In other words, if we don't get our cash requests in by the end of June, then we have to make these advances. Advances in this district normally range between, $1.5 million to $3 million because of that cash flow with the federal programs. So those funds are listed. I suspect that we will not have to do all of those advances before June 30th, that we will get some of the cash in from the state for that. But we are responsible to, by the end of June 30th, is to make sure that there's a positive balance in the state and federal programs, okay, to do that, all right? Immediately after the new year starts and when we get those cash requests, when the state does fulfill those requests to us, we then return that money back to the general fund, okay, to do that. So item 9.02 is a request for advances and transfers to the local, state, and federal programs.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. You have heard the recommendation. Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Sanborn. Is there any discussion? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
4 yes. Item 9.03 is supplementing and amending the annual appropriations for fiscal year '24. So again, throughout the year, you see the purpose and budget statements come through for the school building funds. As we receive some new allocations for state and federal funds, we can make amending and supplementing appropriations. But at the end of the year, there is a supplementing and amending appropriations to really put all the funds in alignment with it. So you'll see that there's a schedule of those funds with some increases to it, some decreases. This is really to put things in line with the spending. You'll note that there is an increase to the general fund. That increase is really for the transfers and advances that we just approved. Okay, so throughout the year on the appropriations, we really don't budget or appropriate to advances and transfers. We wait till the end of the year to know what that dollar amount is. So that increase is really for that amount. And then you'll see some other increases to different funds. A couple of those, like for example, the food service fund and then the auxiliary service program fund, we made some accounting changes, so there wasn't really, it looks like there's an increase in the appropriations, but it's really on our books aligning some of the different special cost centers within one fund. So with food service, it may look like we increased it, but there was a revenue transaction that occurred at the same time. So most of those funds are really within line of what we've been doing throughout the whole year with that, to do that. So item 9.03 is request and recommendation to approve the resolution supplementing and amending the annual appropriations for fiscal year '24 as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. You have heard the recommendation. Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Sanborn. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Spencer, thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, thank you. Mr. Romano?
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
4 yes. Item 9.04 is the temporary annual appropriation measure for fiscal year '25. That is the year that begins July 1st. And as necessary, the superintendent, myself, and administrative staff need authorization to issue purchase orders, to pay our bills, and to continue business. As required in this school district, because in this county, they have waived the tax budget process. So rather than do a full annual appropriation measure in June, we're required to do a temporary annual appropriations, which is for the general fund 75% of what the annual would be. The number that we used in temporary appropriations was the amount that we projected in the 5-year forecast. We're then required before September 30th to bring to the board the annual appropriation measure. There is a timing element there where we follow through and provide to the Budget Commission of the county the estimated resources from all funds. We will do that sometime in July after we close the books. After that task is done, then we will bring to the board the annual appropriation measure. That typically gets done in September as we do that. So the request in the recommendation is to approve the temporary annual appropriation measure for fiscal year '25.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. You heard the recommendation. Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. Is there any discussion? Thank you.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
4 yes. Treasurer's comments. First, again, appreciate the recognition to the staff. As Mr. Foltz read the requirements for that audit, I think you heard and you saw, it really just isn't limited to the treasurer's office staff. That is a total district effort to accomplish something like that. So there are different guidelines and procedures, administrative guidelines and procedures that everyone has to really adhere to in order for that to happen, in order for that audit to be like that. Secondly, with those appropriation measures that we passed and kind of combining that with what Mrs. Preston did with recommending the curriculum adoption for language arts, one of the two pieces to put together is that we really started that curriculum adoption cycle with the Onward and Upward program that started in '21. I think as we had announced that forward. The other piece of the puzzle that you put together is we were able to do that because of the additional funds we got through the state aid, the federal relief program, the ESSER dollars, okay, which ended this year, okay? We spent those dollars, those end. But because of that program and the way it was put together and because of the leadership of the superintendent's team, we're able to continue those things through that program. And that's not an easy thing to do. And I don't say that because of anything I did. I say that of what the administrative staff did and what the team did in order to do that. So, just want to make sure that the board understands, the community understands that there were certain things with the relief money that we were able to do, and we are able to continue those because of the way we put that plan together. You'll also see that that's really built into the 2030 plan going forward too, that we continue those things and do that. So proud to have that happen, to do that. I do now want to read a statement to the board, to the staff, and to the community. And I am going to read it just to make sure I state things correctly as we go forward with it. So this is a public statement at our board meeting on June 24th, 2024. In December 2023, the West Clermont Local School District learned it was the victim of a sophisticated cyber attack classified as social engineering that is anticipated to result in an approximate $1.7 million net loss to the district. Many attacks of this nature are driven by international criminals. Importantly, no personally identifiable information was compromised in the attack, and no student education records were involved. Rather, a threat actor diverted several automated clearinghouse, ACH, electronic payments to multiple bank accounts that were not owned by a vendor of the district. Once discovered, the district immediately followed its policies and procedures, which included contacting local and federal law enforcement. The district also notified its financial institutions, submitted a claim to its insurance carrier, and notified representatives of the Ohio Auditor of State's office. The district has been working with these entities to take all necessary steps to recover the funds. As the community knows, the district places a high priority on its transparency. With that being said, this This is an ongoing, open investigation. We have not been able to communicate until now. The district has been complying with law enforcement to protect the integrity of the case. Though the district had robust preventative measures in place at the time of the attack, once it became apparent that the district was the victim of a cybercrime, our IT staff performed a comprehensive scan of the district's computer networks and found no malicious or unauthorized entry. Since this attack, the district has implemented additional vendor authentication and payment protocols, including the discontinuation of ACH payments to all outside vendors. The district continues to provide extensive cybersecurity training to its staff, both individual and group sessions. Although this loss is painful and upsetting, this will not impact the recent announcement of extending any expected requests for new operational money until 2026. The district does not anticipate cutting any programs, services, nor employees. We will update the school community should new developments arise in this case. Comments for this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Romano. Okay. So moving to board business, board comments. I'll start with Mrs. Spencer.
I don't have anything to say. I hope everybody's enjoying their summer. It's been a very hot one up to this point, but today was beautiful, so I hope everyone and all the children are enjoying their summer break.
Thank you. Ms. Sanborn?
I don't have any comments. I'm good.
Thank you. Mr. Rudy?
I'm very excited about the ELA. It's about time. Not any fault of yours. So it sounds great. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you. I too will keep my comments brief. I just hope everybody's enjoying their summer and taking some time to be with family and friends. It was kind of weird coming back today. We haven't had a board meeting in a while, so it was kind of surreal a little bit. So that's all that I got to say. We do have a reason to go back into executive session for the purpose of considering confidential information related to the marketing plans, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an application for economic development assistance as to negotiate with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economical development assistance. I will put that in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Thank you.
The second was Ms. Sanborn.
Ms. Sanborn, yes, I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
4 yes.
Ms. Adams,
We won't have any action.
So we will have no action, and one thing I did forget to mention is that our next board meeting, because we haven't had them that often, our next board meeting is July 8th. It is at 7 PM, and it will be here at the Civic Center. Again, thank you.